On the occasion of our ninth wedding anniversary, my spouse was stationed abroad for a business engagement. Determined to surprise her, I booked the earliest possible flight. Yet, as I sat in a taxi outside the airport, I noticed her presence. She had returned ahead of schedule and was deeply involved in an intimate moment with another man. They were so captivated by each other that they remained oblivious to my silent observation. Clinging to a flicker of hope, I decided to call her. "Do you remember our anniversary?" I inquired. I watched as she answered the call. "Of course I do. I even have something special planned for you," she responded. Observing them in what appeared to be a perfect embrace, my emotions numbed. Perfect timing. I have something for you as well. After uttering those words, I deliberately tore up my flight ticket and discarded it. When Emma entered our home, I was in the kitchen frying an egg. She playfully covered my eyes, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Guess who?" Her warm breath brushed against my neck as she spoke. In the past, I might have indulged her game, but not today. I gently moved her hands aside and calmly flipped the egg. Emma didn't seem upset. Instead, she cheerfully produced a gift box from her luggage. "Look, darling, your anniversary present." I carried my breakfast to the table, stealing a glance at the box. It was the same one I'd seen before. She had offered it to that man, who had declined it. Now, it was suddenly my anniversary gift. I remained silent, but Emma appeared unfazed. She embraced me from behind, her voice genuine and filled with love, as if I hadn't witnessed her earlier indiscretion. "Happy ninth anniversary, darling. I can't believe it's been 9 years, and my love for you remains as strong as ever." Her words weighed heavily on my heart. 9 years. Had I not seen it myself, I might have believed our marriage was as strong as I thought. Emma leaned in, searching for my reaction. Gazing into her bright eyes, adorned with an irresistible smile, I managed to whisper, "Emma, do you truly love me?" Emma's eyes widened as if I had posed an unimaginable question. "Of course I love you," she affirmed without hesitation. I returned early just to celebrate our anniversary together. The team even grumbled about the urgency, but fortunately I made it. "Surprise? You have no idea how much they envy us." Her sincere gaze prompted a sarcastic chuckle from me. Her words sounded so sweet. Previously, they would have left me grinning foolishly. Watching Emma converse animatedly, I couldn't help but interrupt her dreamy chatter. "But our anniversary was yesterday." Emma's smile faltered momentarily. She awkwardly scratched her head but quickly regained her composure. "Time zone differences while you were abroad confused me." Observing her smile, I felt a surge of deception. I used to adore her smile. Emma handed me the gift box as if it were a treasure. "Come on, open your present." Under her eager gaze, I opened the box to find a pair of men's underwear. Emma seemed taken aback. I examined the size. It was 2 sizes too small. It was clear whom the underwear was meant for. Emma frowned and remarked, "The store must have made a mistake. I won't be shopping there again." She appeared genuinely upset, but her expression soon softened. "Where's my anniversary gift?" she inquired with a smile. I responded calmly, "I didn't have time to get one. The gift I had for you was torn up and thrown away." She looked at me, surprised. Normally, I was someone who cherished special occasions and always prepared thoughtful presents. Suddenly, Emma seemed to have an epiphany. "I know, no need to hide it, hand it over," she playfully demanded. Meeting her gaze, I reiterated, "I really didn't prepare anything." An uncomfortable silence enveloped the room. Finally, Emma broke the stillness. "Didn't you say you had a surprise?" I glanced at the divorce papers in the folder, then back at Emma's seemingly sincere smile. Amused, I chose not to mention the divorce papers. Instead, I wanted to see how long this facade would last. Before I could reply, Emma nodded understandingly. "It's all right, darling. I understand. You were probably busy with work." As she offered an excuse, I didn't refute it. If she wanted to continue this act, I was willing to play along. I simply nodded with a smile. Emma then looked at me with a flirtatious grin. "Did you miss me, darling?" Normally, her teasing would have excited me, but now it evoked a mixture of disgust and nausea. Before I could respond, her phone rang. Emma gave me a nervous glance before answering. "Hello? Sure, I'll be right there." Whatever was said on the other end caused Emma to hurriedly put on her shoes at the front door. "Work emergency," she claimed. "Some final project details need attention." She kissed me lightly and said, "Stay here. I'll think of you." I knew she was heading to meet that man, but I didn't confront her. I simply agreed. "Okay." After she left, I contacted the private investigator. Staring at the wedding photo in the living room, memories surged. Emma and I had been married for 9 years. From college sweethearts to newlyweds, we had overcome numerous challenges without letting go of each other. Emma came from a troubled family. At our wedding, her family didn't contribute anything for the dowry, and I ended up paying $20,000 as a bridal price, all to help her escape the shadows of her family background. I didn't hesitate to gather the money for the dowry. Emma had cried and promised me back then that she would never let me down in her life. I was her beacon of hope, the one who saved her from despair. Gazing at our wedding photo, my eyes welled with tears. Perhaps promises only hold weight when spoken. Emma didn't return that night. I clung to a last shred of hope, thinking I might be overreacting. Maybe Emma was genuinely still at the office, but the private investigator's photos shattered that hope. There she was, wearing the same outfit from the morning, cozily nestled with a man, their fingers intertwined. They appeared like any ordinary couple. I was told his name was Mark, with no notable background, having recently graduated from college. Only 23 years old. My fingers trembled as I kept repeating the number 23. 23. A youth I couldn't relate to. I was already in my 30s, with gray hairs beginning to show. No wonder Emma would stray with him. Everyone is drawn to the young and energetic. As I pondered, Emma texted, "Honey, I have to work late at the office. Don't wait up for me." I tightly gripped my phone. Reading the message, I replied, "Okay, don't work too hard." After sending it, I collapsed onto the floor. Emma had lied so effortlessly. It seemed she had done it many times before. Her constant business trips over the past 2 years? I used to blame her company for overworking her, but they were just excuses to be with him. That night, I drowned my sorrows in one drink after another. Emma returned the next morning to find the living room littered with empty bottles. Seeing me slumped on the sofa, she gently woke me, her brow slightly furrowed. "Honey, why did you drink so much?" I groggily looked at her, trying to speak, but my throat hurt too much. She lifted me up, her eyes filled with concern. "Did those guys take you out drinking again? Tell them next time your wife won't allow it?" I stared at her. Her concern seemed genuine, but so did her betrayal. I pushed her away. Emma didn't get angry. She patiently said, "I'll get you some hangover soup. Wait here." Once she left, I submerged my head in ice-cold water, not emerging until I felt like I was about to drown. It helped clear my mind. On the dining table, she had left my favorite wontons and flour cakes, available only after a long wait. A wave of bitterness surged. Was this guilt-driven compensation after a night out? Emma had been out for an hour. I didn't wait for her at home. I grabbed the wontons and headed out. Passing the trash can downstairs, I threw them in without hesitation. Those wontons symbolized my feelings for Emma. I loved them, but they had spoiled, so I let them go. I went to work. I had taken time off for an overseas trip with Emma, leaving much work unfinished. As soon as I reached my desk, Emma called. "Honey, I got the hangover soup. Where are you?" While typing on the keyboard, I replied, "I'm at work." Emma's tone shifted to anger. "Johnny, didn't I tell you to wait at home? I ran all over for your hangover soup and you left without a word." Of course I knew. There's hangover soup sold just downstairs. She wouldn't need more than half an hour if she really got it. But Emma spent hours, I was drunk, not foolish. I didn't leave anything, I muttered. Emma realized her tone was harsh and softened. Whatever, come home early tonight. I want to introduce you to a friend. After the call ended, I received restaurant directions from Emma just a few miles from my office. I pondered and decided to go. I wanted to see who Emma wanted me to meet. At the restaurant, the server attempted to guide me to a booth. I declined. Outside the booth, I heard voices. Sis, are you really introducing me to him? What if he finds out? Emma patiently replied, Don't worry. I've kept it a secret for the past 2 years. He won't suspect anything. Her words struck me deeply. It seemed she knew me well, but she didn't realize my lack of suspicion stemmed from trust. Trust that was now shattered. I knew who it was. Then playful scuffling sounds came from inside. I took a deep breath, steadied myself, and pushed the door open. Emma's hands were entwined with Mark's. Her smile was brighter than ever with me. They quickly separated upon seeing me. Emma's smile faded as she awkwardly said, Honey, this is who I wanted you to meet. My high-achieving younger brother, Mark. Mark stepped forward, extending his hand. Hi, brother-in-law. I'm Mark. I observed this young man, his skin smooth, smile vibrant and sunny. He was quite charming. With my emotions in check, I gave a small nod, declining the handshake. Mark awkwardly withdrew his hand. Emma quickly diffused the tension. Let's just order, she said, handing the menu to the server. After selecting dishes she liked, she asked if there was anything else I wanted. Looking at the menu, I added, cilantro vermicelli soup. Emma heard it and almost instinctively blurted out, Mark doesn't eat cilantro. As soon as she said it, the room fell silent. Seeing this, Mark intervened to ease the tension, quickly saying, No worries, brother-in-law, I'm easy. Emma looked at me as if she wanted to explain, but couldn't find the right words. When the dishes arrived, Mark smiled at Emma and said, Sis, you ordered all my favorites. You're the best. Emma laughed loudly, playfully bumping Mark's shoulder. Stop sweet-talking me like that in front of your brother-in-law. I glanced at the 7 dishes and noticed that 6 were spicy, while I preferred something milder. My heart sank slightly. Watching Emma and Mark's easygoing interaction made me suddenly let go of my concerns. I never imagined Emma would be bold enough to bring the man she was having an affair with right in front of me, and even think of asking me to help find him a job. Emma continued praising Mark, calling him smart and quick, using all sorts of flattering words for him. At the right moment, Emma turned to me. Honey, Mark is a bright guy. See if there's any way you can help him find a job. I replied nonchalantly while eating. If he's that bright, shouldn't he have no trouble finding a job? Emma didn't anticipate my response and stammered, Mark's been too busy and hasn't completed his degree yet. I chuckled at Emma. Busy with you? Sweet-talking and fooling around all day. Just then, the restaurant owner walked in. Observing Emma and Mark, he joked, Emma, bringing your little boyfriend for dinner again. Emma's face suddenly paled, and she nervously replied, Boss, stop kidding. Mark clarified, Mark's just my brother. I have a husband. The owner, who hadn't met me before and didn't notice Emma's panic, dismissed it, saying, Oh, everyone knows it's normal to have a second chance at love, and guys like Mark, every woman would want him. After the owner left, Emma quickly grabbed my hand, saying, Honey, the owner was just joking. Don't take it seriously. I love you too much to betray you. Mark chimed in anxiously, Brother-in-law, I swear nothing ever happened between us. She really loves you. Watching their act, I suddenly didn't want to continue playing along with Emma anymore. At this point, did her lies even matter? I wasn't a fool. I won't believe a few random words. I calmly took out some photos I'd taken at the airport and slid them over to Emma, saying mockingly, Emma, is this how you show love? Emma froze upon seeing the photos. I sneered. Gotta admit, your way of showing love is unique. If this is your 9th anniversary gift to me, it's quite the surprise. Thanks for letting me know on our anniversary that our marriage is over, reminding me I was just a joke. My eyes were bloodshot and tears welled up. My intense voice snapped Emma back to reality. She looked at me, trembling. "You knew all along?" I nodded, laughing bitterly. "I watched you two kiss from the car." Staring directly at her, I continued. "The 9th anniversary gift was a ticket to see you in LA. But too bad, Emma, you cheated. So the ticket is torn just like my heart was in that moment." Hearing this, Emma shook her head, tears of regret streaming down her cheeks. "I told you, you wanted to know the surprise? Here it is, signed divorce papers. Emma, you've worked hard these 9 years. I'm setting you free." Emma grasped my wrist tightly, pleading, "No, Johnny, I don't agree. Give me another chance. I promise there won't be a next time." Her tears soaked my wrist, but I shook her hand off with disgust. "Emma, you don't deserve it anymore." My words hit her hard as she sobbed uncontrollably on the floor. Seeing this, Mark hurried to support her, angrily saying, "Ask yourself, hasn't my sister treated you well? Even if she did the worst thing ever, you shouldn't have pushed her." Looking at him, all self-righteous, I couldn't help but laugh. Before I could say anything, Emma pushed him away. Her hoarse voice shouted, "Do you need to butt in on my husband and me? What do you know? What right do you have to judge?" Mark froze, bewildered. "Sis, but he just pushed you. Why are you defending him?" Emma's eyes reddened, her voice heart-wrenching. "Shut up. He's my husband, and we've been together for 9 years. Who else would I defend but him?" Mark hadn't expected Emma, who was sweet-talking with him before, to change like that. Hearing Emma's words made me chuckle. So she knew about our 9-year relationship after all, but she still betrayed me. Emma looked up at me, pleading, "Please, Johnny, I really can't be without you. It was just a moment of madness. In my heart, there's no one but you." I looked at her full of sarcasm. "No one else, huh? Yet you ended up in bed with him." Emma, hearing that, grabbed my hand and pressed it against her chest, crying, "Johnny, do you want me to rip my heart out and show it to you?" Mark was crying nearby. "Sis, I'm sorry. Are you coming over tonight?" Hearing Mark's words, Emma snapped, "Get out." Mark's tears streamed down his face as he choked on his words. "Sis, But Emma lost her patience. She yelled at Mark, "I told you to leave. Haven't you caused enough chaos?" Mark cried out an apology, then ran out, still sobbing. Emma didn't chase after him. She just looked at me, hope in her eyes. But this time, I was determined to disappoint her. I turned my head, choking on my words. "From the first day you started traveling so frequently, you should have seen this coming. Betrayal is either a one-time thing or it's endless. Even if I could forgive, the seed of distrust is already planted. There's no going back for us." She was sobbing uncontrollably, but I felt no pity, only thinking she had brought this upon herself. If she truly loved me, she wouldn't have hidden her 2-year affair. Just the thought made my heart ache. While I was eagerly waiting at home for her return, she was overseas with another man. All my sincere efforts turned into a joke. Our marriage was filled with Emma's lies. The purity it began with was long gone. I knew I could choose to overlook it, but love is possessive. It's personal. I refused to share even a tiny bit. Emma cried and then, laughing bitterly, said, "Johnny, why condemn me for one betrayal? Are you ignoring all the good times we had? Why be so heartless, not even willing to give me one chance? I promised to change. I swear I will. Why can't you believe me?" I looked at Emma, initially wanting to keep things dignified, but clearly that wasn't necessary. Our relationship was now embarrassingly out in the open. "Emma, are you sure it was just once? Over these 2 years, do you even know how many times you slept with him? How many times have you seen him since you came back?" I tossed the photos taken by the detective into the air. Instantly, all those intimate photos of Emma and Mark fluttered around like a cheap show. Emma's face turned ashen as she frantically picked up the photos. Then she burst out crying loudly. I didn't care. I just stood up and left the restaurant. It should be me crying, right? I had given all my love to Emma for 9 years. I had given up frequent travel just to be with her more. I never forced children on her when she said she didn't want any. Right before discovering the affair, I canceled all work to spend our 9th anniversary together. But her betrayal dealt a heavy blow, shattering the sweet dreams she had woven, dreams I once believed in. I wanted to ask her why. Why did she betray 9 years of love? Did she remember her promises? But I didn't, because I knew Emma had forgotten. She wasn't the same woman who would squeal over a single rose anymore. I had to face the truth that our marriage had changed irreparably. I shouldn't live in our sweet memories. People have to move on. You can't stay trapped in the past. At home, packing my bags, tears fell uncontrollably as I looked at our wedding photo. I collapsed to the floor, sobbing. I wasn't crying for the Emma of today, but mourning for what we used to be. I remembered when we took that wedding photo. Love was real between us. Emma, seeing an elderly couple in the park, had said, "Hubby will be just like them someday." I jokingly asked, "What's up? Planning to wrap around me forever?" Emma had hugged me tightly, saying, "Yes, hubby, I'm sticking with you forever. We'll never part." Back then, I never imagined the woman who vowed never to part would break that promise first. What was once beautiful now seemed tragically ironic. I wiped away my tears and continued packing. When I was ready to leave, I turned to look at the wedding photo. This time, I didn't cry. I climbed onto the table, took the photo down, and smashed the frame onto the ground. Glass shattered everywhere, just like our broken relationship. I grabbed scissors and cut myself out of the photo. Every glance at our past sweetness made me resent Emma more. Having done all this, I turned my back without hesitation, dragging my suitcase out the door. I had lost any emotional connection to that house and everyone inside it. On the drive, my phone kept ringing. It was Emma's exclusive ringtone. I had set it so I'd always answer her calls immediately. But now I let the phone ring out, expressionless. I drove, ignoring the flood of messages on my screen. I headed to another apartment I owned. It was intended for our future children, but since she didn't want any, it remained unused. Devoid of familiar decor and without familiar faces, I felt at ease. The air felt cleaner compared to living in a house filled with lies. I was almost suffocating there. Reclining on the sofa, casually watching TV, Emma called again. She kept dialing persistently, as if she wouldn't stop until I answered. Finally, just as it was about to go to voicemail, I picked up. There was silence on the other end, long enough for me to think the call had ended. Finally, Emma spoke, her voice hoarse with tears. "Johnny, I agreed to the divorce. I couldn't find you anywhere. I was going crazy." Her voice sounded like she was crying, as if she had been through immense pain. I hadn't even spoken yet. Emma continued. "But first, you need to go somewhere with me." I thought about it for a moment and agreed. After all, if she didn't consent to the divorce, going through the legal process would be cumbersome. The next morning, Emma drove to pick me up. She kept trying to make conversation from the passenger seat, but I wasn't interested. Besides the divorce, I had nothing left to say to Emma. It wasn't until she drove up to the university entrance that I realized she had taken me back to our alma mater, the place where we met and where I proposed. It was filled with our happy memories. I looked at her, unsure of what she intended to do. Emma gazed at the school entrance and sighed. "Johnny, this place hasn't changed at all." "Huh? Remember, our love started right here." I just responded softly. "Yeah." Emma wasn't angry. She grabbed my wrist and said, "Come on, let me take you somewhere." Then we began to run. The sunlight cast our shadows on the ground. I remembered us running hand in hand just like this when we were 21. Now, I was 31. Walking along, I noticed the small saplings had grown into towering trees. Time sure flies. I wasn't that young, romantic kid anymore. We weren't us anymore. As we passed the playground, Emma looked at me with a big smile. "Remember? Our graduation ceremony here?" This is where you proposed to me. The memory of that bold moment rippled through my mind. In front of all our classmates, I had asked Emma to marry me. Back then, I truly believed she'd be my forever. Now I nodded. I remember. Even our teacher wished us well. Emma smiled. We were so broke we could only afford the marriage certificate, but we still went for it. Then Emma took me up the hill at the university. Once we reached the top, she stepped aside and pointed to a sign. This is the place I wanted to show you. I saw a fence adorned with love locks. We had been here before on the day I proposed. We put a love lock here. If you find it, I'll grant the divorce. Can't find it? It means the universe doesn't want us to separate. Give me one more chance, please. I looked at Emma, realizing she wasn't ready to let go, but it was futile. Once a heart is done, no effort matters. Emma thought I wouldn't bother looking, but she was wrong. I began searching among the locks. Emma's face turned pale as she watched. Johnny, let's have a child. A child could make everything better. I replied, still searching. I want you to have a child out of love, not to hold me down. I don't want my kid growing up seeing posts online about how their childhood was affected. I want my child to be happy, not stuck in constant arguments between parents. Bringing a child into this isn't fair. Suddenly, it started pouring rain, but I was determined to find that lock. The rain drenched me. Emma shouted to my back, Johnny, stop! Come take cover! I ignored her. Finding the lock among hundreds wouldn't be easy. Emma kept yelling, Johnny, you're going to get sick! Seeing me unfazed, Emma rushed over to drag me away, but I shrugged her off. Leave me alone. I'll find that lock. I wiped the rain from my face and continued searching. Emma broke down, yelling through tears. Fine, I'll give you the divorce. Can you please take cover now? Hearing her, a sense of relief washed over me. I walked over to a tree and saw her curled up on the ground. At her feet was a love lock. She realized I was looking and said bitterly, I took our lock off. You would never find it. I thought my plan was foolproof, but I didn't expect you'd be this stubborn. Her voice was hurt and confused. Johnny, do those 9 years mean nothing? Do you really want this? I pushed back my now damp hair. Emma, I don't love you anymore, so this marriage doesn't make sense. With tears in her eyes, Emma asked, Is this all because of Mark? I responded, I've cut ties with him. It was just something new. I love you, always have. I interrupted. Emma, you don't love me. I don't think you love Mark either. You love yourself the most. You enjoyed Mark's attention but didn't want to risk getting caught. You loved my kindness, yet couldn't resist outside temptations. In love, you can't have both. I can't handle even a grain of sand. Emma started crying harder, her body shaking. In the past, I would have hugged her for comfort. Now, I just stood by coldly. I no longer felt connected to Emma's emotions. Her happiness and sadness no longer affected me. The next day, we went to the Civil Affairs office. After the staff confirmed repeatedly, we signed the papers. The stamps were applied, and the divorce was final. Holding the papers, I felt so much lighter. I was finally free. Emma looked at me and struggled to speak. Johnny, I'm sorry. I know you hate me. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I just hope you can be happy. I shook my head, chuckling. No, you're wrong, Emma. I don't hate you at all. Hate keeps us connected. Now I don't even have that anymore. Emma tried to say something more, but I waved my hand. It's just 9 years. Let's just say I made a bad investment. After that day, Emma didn't call to bother me again. Instead, Mark reached out. I had no idea how he got my number. At first, I thought it was a scam. When he said he was Mark, it clicked. It was him. He sounded worn out. Please, Johnny, give Emma back to me. You're not like me. You have a great career, friends, and family. But me? I just have her in this city. Please let her go. I didn't understand why Mark was calling me. We were divorced. If he needed to find someone, it shouldn't have been me. I responded coldly, I'm divorced. You've got the wrong person. But Mark insisted I was the right person. He said urgently, "Since that day, she's blocked me everywhere. She won't see me, and I know it's because of you." I was surprised listening to Mark. It seemed Emma had truly cut him off. Just as Mark tried to continue talking, I picked up my phone and said, "I can't control her actions. Goodbye." After that, I hung up and continued with my work. I was performing well, and my boss promoted me again. I became the assistant general manager. Post-divorce, my career truly flourished. I closed a significant deal on my own, earning praise from my boss. My salary increased substantially, making my colleagues envious. Life was great. I'd go out drinking with friends when I was in a good mood and stay home watching TV when I wasn't. Living alone was comfortable. I got a dog. While walking it, I met my current girlfriend. She lived in the same neighborhood. Since our dogs loved playing together, we ended up chatting here and there. After about a month, we naturally became a couple. She was really caring, maintaining a cool exterior to others but softening around me. I truly enjoyed her affection. I shared all about my past relationships. She didn't react the way I expected, but playfully said, "So I'm the angel sent to be with you. You better treat me extra nice." I just looked at her and seriously replied, "Thank you. I'm really glad I met you." I was grateful she was there during my toughest times and thankful the universe sent me such a wonderful woman. She brought so much positivity into my life. She made me feel alive and helped me believe it wasn't love that was wrong. It was just the unfaithful person. Strange, really. Even though Emma and I were in the same city, our paths never crossed again. Until one day, Emma messaged me. "I heard you're dating someone." I distantly replied, "Yeah." After a pause, she asked, "Is she good to you?" I sent a sarcastic reply. "I only know that we don't lie to each other and there's mutual trust." After that, Emma didn't text back. I deleted her. There was no need to stay in touch. A good ex is like they're dead to you. I thought that'd be the last of it. Then I bumped into Emma while walking my dog with my girlfriend. Out of nowhere, my Labrador started barking at someone. I was about to calm him and reassure the person when I realized it was Emma standing there, looking awkward. Neither of us expected to meet like that. While my girlfriend was on the other side with her golden retriever, Emma looked at me, her eyes misty. In a cracked voice, she said, "Long time no see. Have you been?" I looked at her and slowly replied, "Thanks for asking. I'm doing well." Emma was about to say more, but my girlfriend approached with a smile. "Babe, let's go a bit farther. There are lots of dogs to play with." She quickly responded, "Sure, I'm coming." Emma saw this and didn't say anything else. For a moment, we became the most familiar strangers on the street. Leading my dog, I brushed past Emma and quietly said, "Excuse me," then caught up with my girlfriend. Emma stayed there, a bit stunned, but I didn't look back. I had found a better life, and Emma was just a part of the past I'd rather forget. I had found a better life, and Emma was just a part of the past I'd rather forget. After that, we completely lost touch. The world is big. Even in the same city, bumping into each other is almost impossible. Meeting her seemed to have exhausted all my luck with her. Some people, once you say goodbye, it's forever. And I don't think of Emma anymore. Though sometimes, I recall how a woman once would give up everything for me, but she eventually got lost. Our 9 years ended up buried.